So you clicked on the video because of the title, huh? Yes, this is not clickbait. I can assure you, this is the most satisfying gathering system on Roblox that I have ever seen. And you probably too. But don't just skip to the end of the video. Because as you go along the journey with me, you'll notice that there are some funny plot twists along the way. So in the last episode, I actually made it so the tree falls when you kill it. And in this episode, let's just finish it. Finally, after like 4 fucking episodes. Anyway, I want to start with making the droplets, but there's a teeny tiny problem. I'm not sure what's the best way on how to go about making them. So I looked on YouTube and found a tutorial by this guy right here, which was created by the very nice dude called gamedev. So after getting the gist, I started by creating the droplets by inserting a part and just copying the same icon from the UI. So after scripting the necessary stuff, the droplets were falling, but in very weird ways. You can probably see how all of them just go into one direction, which is not what you want here. Or even worse, all of them just stay in the same spot, right near the tree base. But I had basically no idea what was going on, so I moved the part which spawns the drops out in the open, so it's just the part alone. And lo and behold, the droplets work how they should be working. So what's the problem? After that, I put the drop spawning part next to the tree, not directly in it, to see what would happen. And yeah, the drops aren't really being thrown into places behind the tree. So then I figured out what was the problem. In the tree there's an invisible part in place, so you can't walk through the tree. But in this case it's kind of a problem, because it doesn't let parts that have physics applied to them move through it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword here. The part needs to not allow players to walk through, but allow the drops to move through. Well, obviously I had no clue how to make something like that work, so I scoured the internet for answers. And then I found out something called collision groups. I was always wondering what that weird property was for. Collision groups basically allow you to do exactly what I told you what we needed to do. We can make it so certain parts can go through some parts, but not through others. So after fixing that, I slightly adjusted the random spawning locations that these drops have. And after that, I played around with their color and made it so they can't be seen through other parts. So the next big thing we need to do is actually make the drops pick upable. So I got to work, and here you can see the hitbox demonstration of the droplets. And yes, you can finally pick up stuff. And it also adds to your balance. Or removes it. Right now. And then I fixed it, but another bug weirdly occurred. So when I'm picking up the droplets, they just weirdly fling off in the distance, which is not really what we want. So to fix that, I just needed to slightly adjust what happens after the droplets hit the ground. And then I quickly fixed the toolbar bug where the axe just wouldn't show up for some reason. But then I had a big dilemma. Do I keep working on the fun stuff like adding the health bar to the tree and the rest of the stuff that the game needs? Or do I first implement the replication of server-side view models? And if you don't know what that word vomit was a few seconds ago, it's pretty much exactly the same hand that you see in the FPS games, which always moves in the direction of your camera. But you may ask, why do I even want to do this? Like, you can already see the view model from your own screen. Why would you really even need for other players to see it? Well, basically, when you're in combat, probably you want to know what the other dude is doing, if he's holding a weapon or like an apple or something. So it's really essential information if you want to win. But in the current state, if you're holding a weapon or any tool or anything for that matter, it just looks like the character isn't doing anything. So let's get to work. And here I've got the first prototype of the view model, but it's acting very strange. It's not where your hand should be, it's just floating around in the air and always looking in a certain direction, no matter where the other player is looking. Well, basically the problem was I was handling other players' view models on the server side, which I don't really know why that doesn't work, but it just messes with the positions and everything. So I asked my friend Tyron, who is a more experienced scripter, to see if he knows of any better solution to this. And he pointed in a potential direction I could go in. But he hasn't really worked with FPS systems before, so he didn't really know exactly how to do it. So I went to scouring the internet until I found this video right here. Which, if you need to make an FPS system, just go fucking watch it, bro. It's gonna be a lifesaver. But basically how it works is when you swing your axe or anything that you do, it sends a remote event or an unreliable remote or an unreliable remote event. God, that was hard to say. Like every few seconds. Well, in my case, every half a second I do it. And then the server sends the information to all of the other clients. So the server has kind of like no idea what's going on visually, and it's only the clients that see what's going on, because only on the clients all of the visuals are reflected. So I finally had the hand working. But in my case, I actually want it so the hand moves depending on where your camera is looking, whether it's up or down. And then the view model moves corresponding to it. As in, if you moved your head up, the view model also moves up. But making this / fixing this actually all the time took a bit longer than I'd like to admit. Because the answer was kind of simple. I just really didn't need to do much at all. All that I just needed to do was constantly change the one rotation of the weld, so it actually just rotates, not moves around weirdly. But before actually figuring this out, I kind of got discouraged at making the hand rotate as I wanted to, because I already had a somewhat working prototype that just kind of worked without moving the hands up or down. So I just fixed the bug where the axe wouldn't appear on the view model. But despite that, I pushed further, and after God knows how many hours later, I made it work. And I also made the head move along too, as you can see. Making this took by far the longest time, but it was actually fun at the end of the day, unlike I thought it would be at the start. But now I can finally move on to the so-called fun things that I wanted to do. So I thought about what direction should I take this game into? How do I make it more satisfying? And basically I thought of having a bunch of items that range in rarity. That if you found a rare item, you would be really happy. And for that, it would be just kind of weird that you would automatically pick that one rare item up. So basically made it so you pick up the drops with a proximity prompt, instead of you automatically picking them up as you come near. So it does the same standard everywhere. But I might decide to combine both of these features later on. We'll see. And also another really cool thing, you can actually customize the keybinds with which you want to pick up the items and similar. You can already see that I have a few settings over here that you can customize yourself, and there will be more. And also, while we're talking about settings, I've made it so all of the important things can be customized from server storage, which means I'll be adding a private server commands board in which you can customize a lot of things about how you want to play the game. So yeah, that's gonna be really fun. But anyway, next I slightly changed how the UI looks. And as you can see, I created this cool HP bar for the trees. Though I am really struggling as to how I should position the health bar, as it's way too high up and you can't really see it all the time. And if you move it lower, it just kind of takes up too much space. And then you can see the critical hitboxes. If you want to know how I learned to script, click the first link in the pinned comment, because it will probably be really beneficial for you to know how I did it so you can replicate it too. And also, if you have any suggestions or questions, leave them down in the comments or just join my Discord server. And as always, remember, you're just one game away. And I'll see you in the next one.